such pessimists. Don't believe in no future. Ain't got no future. Don't believe the future is doom and gloom. Everything about them. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So when they speak, and they're always speaking something doom and gloom. They vacillate in opinion or purpose. Back and forth, back and forth. There is a prolonged hesitation in making a decision, and when they do make the decision, they don't even stick to it.
Well,
they are unpredictable. Talking about procrastinators. They procrastinate, and they're always questioning. I'm not talking about questioning because you just want to know an answer. I'm talking about always questioning. They are inconsistent. Schizophrenia is rooted in rejection and rebellion, just to let y'all know. So when you got a double-minded person, if they're back and forth, if they're vacillating between God and the world, then they're rooted in rebellion and rejection because they're not doing what God is saying. Now, even with the rebellion and rejection, those two can be separated. I'm going to show you something here in a minute. And you have to get delivered from these spirits, because when you come out of rebellion, you submit to the Lord. And then when you receive love, when you can learn to receive love, then you'll be delivered from the rejection. When schizophrenia is active, symptoms can include, this is what they can include: delusions, hallucinations, disorganized speech, trouble with thinking, and lack of motivation. Spirits of confusion work in conjunction. The spirits of confusion work in conjunction with rejection, guilt, fear, and other spirits. These spirits repeatedly insert, get this, worrisome, conflicting, and confusing thoughts into people's conscious mind, causing them to be brought deeper and further into bondage. The spirit of confusion also wars against the sound mind, the spiritual mind, the mind that God gave us, to drive the person to sin, meaning in rebellion and rejection. So how do you know if you have a spirit of confusion? The spirit of confusion will prohibit you, or prohibit your rational mind from influencing your behavior the way it should be. It'll be an influence. Even the God-given sound mind of Christ won't be able to control your life, because the spirit of confusion is not wanting you to. It's operating different. Let me show you something here. I hope you guys are still with me. I know that's not a very good picture, but this picture is in the book. This picture is taken from the book Pigs in the Parlor by Frank and Ida Mae Hammond. And here at the top of it, I'll just tell you, I got some stuff written here. Here at the top of it says schizophrenia. And you see the hurricane up here. And this is all of these thoughts and things. You got rejection on one hand, and you got rebellion on the opposite hand. And when you see the rejection and the rebellion, there are things in each finger, and you can identify what it is based on what's in the palm and what comes down the wrist. And then it speaks of I'll share this with you, what's on the inward, what's inside the person, or what's within them. And then on the opposite hand, you got other spirits. You got, if it's rebellion on one side, it's rejection on the other. And of course, it's got, and with the rebellion, because it's the rebellion where there's the root of bitterness. And where there's a root of bitterness, there are spirits that sprout out from it. Okay? And then there's outward. I can tell y'all.
Oh, they said they can't see it.
Oh, y'all can't see it?
Okay.
Can they see it?
See it now.
They see it now?
They might have to zoom in.
You have to zoom it in because it's not a very good picture. Can they at least see the hands?
So I can see it on hers. But Taisha says she cannot. Scroll your screen. Tell Taisha to scroll.
Scroll your screen. Scroll to your left or to your right. Scroll your screen.
See, Cecile said yes.
She can see it?
Cecilia said yes.
Okay.
Oh, Kimmy said yes, she can see it.
Okay.
Okay, she said she can see the hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've taken time to write them all out, but the picture is a bad picture, so you can go on, you can find it on Facebook under Frank and Ida Mae, the Pigs in the Parlor. You can look on Google and pull up the hands. I tried my best to get a really good picture. This is the best that I could do. However, you will see the hurricane. The hurricane with the rejection and the rebellion. And these are the thoughts. These are the thoughts, and this affects the mind now. So you got this hurricane of thoughts. And in between there, that little line says paranoia or paranoid. Paranoid has you believing things that's there that ain't there. And then what's underneath all of that is your real self. So you got the inward actions, you got the inward feelings, you got the outward actions, and then you got the real self underneath all of this. Let me share this with you. So let's take a look at this. The left hand. I'm going to back up a little bit. The left hand, this hand here. I hope y'all can see what I'm doing with my mouse. I don't know if you can see it. The left hand. You may not be able to. The left hand. Hand of rejection. What's in that hand? Insecurity, inferiority. There's a spirit of lust. What comes with, fantasy, lust, harlotry, and perversion. Then there's rejection, and I highlighted that. Rejection. Above that says the fear of rejection and then self-rejection. So you got the fear of rejection and the self-rejection. You have self-accusations, compulsive confession. Anybody meet somebody that just got to tell you everything that they done wrong. They got to confess it to somebody. There's also the spirit of jealousy and envy. This comes under rejection. Now, this fear of judgment is that self-pity. There's false compassion. There's false responsibility, depression, despondency, despair, discouragement, hopelessness. Also on that side where rejection is suicide. These are the spirits that come along with rejection. There's guilt, condemnation, unworthiness, and shame. There's the spirit of perfection, pride, intolerance, vanity, frustration, ego, impatience, and unfairness. You know, when I was bound up by that demon, nothing was ever fair to me. You just teach.
I was there.
Look,
yeah.
You ain't nothing fair. It just ain't fair. Why y'all treat me like this? Why you got to defend them and not defend me? Why you got to be? Oh, I had my stuff. Let me tell y'all, I had my stuff because it was never fair.
That's true.
I was impatient because I wanted what I wanted when I wanted it. And anybody y'all better develop some patience, because patience is a virtue. We don't want to have no patience. We don't want to have none. We ain't trying to help somebody else have none. We ain't even talking to nobody about having no patience. You know what? Because they'll tell you in a minute. And feel proud saying, I'm impatient. Well, you know what? You may not get what you really want because you're impatient. Withdrawal. Here's that withdrawal again. Unreality, fantasy, daydreaming, vivid imaginations. I mean, you just seeing stuff that just ain't, talking about hallucinations. You seeing stuff that ain't even there.
That's schizophrenia.
Oh my goodness. And you're trying to get everybody else to believe that it's there. You don't know what's seeing it. Now, I'm going to say this because I didn't heard people say, I didn't see. Did you see that over there? See what over where? What you talking about? You didn't see that man over there? What man? You've seen all kinds of spiritual stuff. I'm going to say something, and it might get me in trouble right now. But you don't always see angels and demons. You don't always see angels and demons.
What do you see?
I see you. I got Jewel and Sapphire sitting in here with me. I see Jewel and I see Sapphire. I'm sitting in this room and I don't see an angel and I don't see a demon.
So what you saying? People sometimes
see angels and demons. Okay. Look, angels and demons. They're hallucinating. They seeing stuff that ain't there.
Okay, I see.
Timidity, shyness, this rejection, loneliness, sensitiveness. I'm just so sensitive. Look, I know somebody that's I know a few people that's so sensitive. They're sensitive to everything. And then they'll tell you, I'm sensitive to the spirit. Okay. I gotta check that one with the fruit of the spirit to see if you're really that sensitive. Because sometimes it's just that everything bothers you. Talkativeness. Look, you haven't met anybody. Lord, I've met a few folks like that. just won't be, they got to monopolize the conversation. So what?
You regret asking the question.
You do. So that's why I say you regret asking a question. Because they're going to take lead in the conversation and they ain't going to let you in. They ain't going to let you have a word edgewise. Nervousness, tension, and fear. Huge. Fear. Fear of people, all kinds of phobias. Now some of these phobias just, they may be, if you're in fear of everything, what's inward? This rejection keeps one from giving and receiving love. The rejection weds one to the world, weds on to the world for love. So they look into the world. They look into people, places. They looking for everything else other than God to love them. They make one tell all, seeking attention, punishment, and correction. That's why they do that. Some people with rejection suffer it includes inordinate affection for animals. It ain't proper. Their animals are not, the affection they have is just not proper. It's just perverse. It's out of order. I say out of order, it's just perverse. And with honesty at all costs.
So not just loving the animal like the kid. You mean sexual acts with animals?
I hope somebody heard you ask that question. Okay. With honesty at all costs, seeking evidence for suspicion. I call these people delusional. They have it in their mind that you are a certain way, and they look for the evidence to support that, and then turn around and speak it with no truth and nothing really to back it up other than their own suspicions. And that honesty thing, it is designed to hurt someone else. It's always designed to make them look good. It's okay to be honest, but there's no love in it. There's no love with the honesty. It's about, I want to make you look bad. I'm going to make myself look good. I'm going to look, I have to be the bigger person. You look like you're the bigger person right now, the bigger fool. That's on the left hand. That's the rejection. Now let's go. That was on the left side. On the right side, we have the rebellion. Okay, here we go. The rebellion. Self-deception, self-delusion, self-seduction. You see that? All that self, it's about me. Self-will, selfishness, and I misspelled selfishness. Stubbornness. Oh, if I hear one more person tell me I know I'm stubborn, I'm gonna lay hands on them. Because stubbornness is as idolatry, and rebellion as in sin of witchcraft. So you proudly saying you're stubborn. Y'all better quit being stubborn. That should not even be a part. If you are in ministry, let me help you with this one. If you are in ministry, there is no room for selfishness and stubbornness, because your stubbornness is against God. It ain't even against man. It's against God. Your selfishness is about you and what you want. And you don't care about anybody else other than what you want and how you're going to get it. How is it going to make, how are you going to look? The scripture, your gifts will make room for you, is not about how well you can preach. It ain't about how well you can sing a song. It ain't how well you can teach a lesson. Your gift is your ability to not be selfish. It is to be loving and to be kind and to be generous, to be selfless. That's the gift. To be loving, that is the thing that will make room for you.
That's good.
That is not all that other stuff. I'm sick of folks talking about your gift and they think it's your ability to be a good administrator. No, that ain't it. No, you gifted in that area, but that ain't the thing that's making room for you. Because the word said it'll even bring you before great men. Your gift will even bring you before great men. So your ability to be compassionate and loving and kind and patient and generous, and I say generous, even in your selflessness in giving. Because even when you give, you ain't supposed to let your right hand know what the left hand is doing. Everybody ain't gotta know what you're doing. But it will definitely bring you before great men. People will start asking about you. People want to know, wait a minute, where's that Jewel? Where's that evangelist Jewel Cooper at? Where is that prophetizers Lampkin? Where is that minister Corbin? Where they at? Because why? Their gifts are making room. They'll be the ones that'll be called upon. You ain't even got to go you ain't even got to go nowhere and ask, can I preach a message? No, sit down. It's better to be asked up than to be asked down. That's what the word says. It's better to be asked up than to be asked down. But when you're about yourself, you trying to. I've seen this in the church. I've seen this amongst believers where people, especially the ministers, is the worst thing ever because they can get money. They come in because they know they can get money from the people. Well, I got a message from the Lord. I'd like to be able to deliver it today. And Pope Pastor, he or she just don't know no better. Okay. And they stand up and they ain't got
word.
Not damn word.
It ain't from the Lord.
It ain't from the word, of course. Right, it ain't from the Lord. And then what happens is that now you got to take them an offering because they stood in the pulpit for a good 30 minutes and lied. On God, no less. That's my soapbox. Okay, I wish I had a bell. Ding, let's move on. Accusations. We talk about accusations towards others. Constantly, people that are in rebellion will accuse, going back to not taking responsibility, going back to deflecting. They are deflecting their response. It ain't me. Look, and good to accuse. Look, will tear up your character. And you stand there, well, what happened? What'd I do? Suspicion, distrust, persecutions, fears, and confrontation. Again, they're trying to preserve themselves. People who are rebellious are people who are in control, who have a spirit of possessiveness. They are resentful. There's a root of bitterness. I was showing y'all about that root right there, down the center of that arm. What's in the root of that bitterness? What's on that root of bitterness, unforgiveness, and violence, anger, murder, and retaliation. That springs about the root of bitterness. Unforgiveness, violence, anger, murder, retaliation. The outward appearance, it keeps one from looking at themselves. They never check themselves. They always think it's somebody, going back to they think it's somebody else. They don't never, they did. He did, she did. They did. Let me help y'all with this one. Help me, Holy Ghost, with this one. Some of this church hurt is this rebellion. If you don't keep your eyes on Jesus and you start looking at man, you'll see some stuff in the church, right? Mm-hmm. People are going to be people, and hurt people hurt other people. But some of this church hurt ain't because the pastor did X, Y, and Z to you, unless, of course, the pastor sexually or physically abused you. Because everything else is on you. How much faith or how much stock did you put in the pastor or the leader? I've been in the church where I was attacked. But the Lord said, you better not go nowhere. As much as I wanted to go, and I could have said it was their fault. I could have said it was their doing. But you know what? It was not. And I'll tell you this. Because the Lord said, the word says that Jesus learned obedience by the things he suffered. And there were some things I had to suffer to learn some obedience to God first. I could have blamed the pastor. I could have left there and was hurt by some of the things that the pastor said and did. and going back to examining myself, it was because of my own disobedience. Okay, got quiet. Ain't nobody saying nothing. That's all right. I'm on.
She said, help us, Prophet Witherspoon.
I'm
Ain't quiet.
telling you. It's some of that is when you are in rebellion and you refuse to sit. Sometimes I'm not telling you have to listen to everything that I said. Be careful what you hear coming over the pulpit. I definitely say that. I always say, don't even believe nothing I got to say. Take it back to the word. But before you go to accuse somebody else, then what was your part in it? What was your responsibility before you start accusing somebody else? You know, the Lord said, those whom I love, I chasten. Well, no disobedient child, no disobedient child wants to be chastened. They don't want to be corrected. And what are they going to do? They're going to, you know what? I got 2 grandsons at the house. And I declare, when either one of them get in trouble, you know what they do? They point a finger at each other. They do. They point a finger at each other. No lie. And that's what we do. We point a finger at each other. We in trouble all day long. We point our fingers at somebody else. Instead of saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm guilty. Lord, forgive me. I'm guilty. I was guilty of my disobedience, and I sat there in that one church and suffered. I could have said that it was that pastor's, it was him who hurt me. Yeah, you know what? He was cruel. But see, that's what God will do when you won't obey him. He'll turn you over. Look, he'll let you come under them cruel taskmasters. Then what? You leave and then you still ain't learned the lesson, only to have to turn around and repeat it? To blame somebody else for your downfall. Let me help somebody today. Come out of the rebellion and learn to do what God has called you to do. Outwardly, you're disobedient and anti-submissive. Both mental and spiritual, seductive, to tempt, to mislead, to decoy. Delusional. So not only are you're seductive and delusional, where you're delusional, being misled in your mind. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but love, power, and a sound mind. Meaning false beliefs, these fixed misconceptions, false beliefs. Cast down your imagination. What does God say? God's word is true. It even said God is true and let every man be a liar. We're not supposed to believe every man. In psychiatry, a false belief regarding the self-comment is paranoia. That's what that paranoia is. Regarding a false belief about yourself. Now that's the rebellious side. So I've given it to you. I've given you what this, and we want to call it spiritual schizophrenia. But as I was looking at this, and Ida Mae was the one who she had already done some, she learned, she was in psychiatry, she learned some psychiatry. And this came from her teaching. I mean, from her being a student and what she had learned and how this happens. So if you can see me online, what happens is with the spirits of rebellion and rejection and all the things that I've said, what they do is it's like locking hands. And the 2 things that must be disconnected first before anything else is disconnected is the rebellion and the rejection. And then once these 2 spirits are disconnected, it becomes easier, if you will, to deal with all the other linking spirits. It becomes a little easier to deal with all the other linking spirits. And this, again, is a process. It is over time. Just because you get delivered from the rejection doesn't mean that you've already gotten delivered from the rebellion. Because the rejection has its own host of stuff. Little by little, it's a whole list of things. I remember a young lady came to me, I'll share this with you. She had come to me and she was having this whole accusing other people. She was accusing some other people. And I remember going home that night. I heard what she said. I was listening. And I was going home and I was talking to the Lord on my way home about this one woman. And as I was on the train. I was in Chicago at the time. I was on the train. And I heard the Lord say, I had my book with me, The Pigs in the Parlor. He said, open up the book. So I opened it up and I began to look at it. And he said, what do you see? And I began to look to see, concerning her. And I began to look, and I said, well, and I began to, there were certain things that I had discerned. So I began to tell God, based on this information, what I had seen. Lord, I see this, I saw the insecurity, I saw the inferiority, I saw, this whole, I saw the jealousy. I saw some things, right? And then on the other hand, I saw this, because it was the accusation in others, then I began to see the selfishness. I mean, there were some other things. So it was something that the Lord said to me. It was the distrust, it was the distrust, the persecution, the fears, and the confrontation. So then he said to me, it was one thing he said to me. There was, I want to say it was the resentment. It was something there. And then when I told him he said it was delusion, that the whole thing was delusion. And then I told him, I said, Lord, I don't see that. He said, just because you don't see it don't mean it's not there. See, there are things that God will keep even from our own eyes for us not to see. So just because we don't see it, if God tells you it's there, it's there. And then he says that you are to agree with your adversary quickly while thou art in the way. So if you have been accused of something, if the enemy has come to accuse you, because we know he's the accuser of the brethren, then it would behoove you to come in agreement with your adversary. That whole idea of accusation is because someone has said something to take before the Father concerning you. And then it was brought back. It was said. So now you know what the accusation is. People are quick to just try to defend themselves instead of allowing, we are quick to defend ourselves versus allowing God to defend us. We are quick to say, it's not me versus, okay, Lord, I've been accused of this. Instead of defending myself, I'm going to let you to defend me. And the way that I can do that is, first of all, I'm going to ask for forgiveness. And then I'm going to ask to come under the blood. Forgive me of my sin. You may not be wrong. Sometimes you just need to simply give up your right to be right. I'm going to come under the blood, Lord. Forgive me. And just continue to stay in right standing with the Father. Now, having said that, let's move to this one. So here's the schizophrenia. So what's in between the rebellion and rejection? I spoke about it, the paranoia. And what's underneath all of this? And you see that little man, you see that little stick man? The little happy man is you. That little happy man is you. So once you get free from all of that, then the real person, the real you, can then manifest. The real you can come forward. Let me tell you, as you get delivered,